how's it going? Welcome to another episode that Matt is not in. Cause I like to spruce things up. You move around the pictures on the wall sometimes. You get a new frame for your painting, but you still got the same painting. And one, I'm white. Yeah, he's white. Just one white dude's as good as another white. So all white people look the same to me personally. So we got another white dude on the podcast.
Hey,
and who is that white dude? White dude, introduce yourself.
This is SkarloeyRailway01 of the places, such as Twitter and SIF and the Wiki and all that.
He's associated with SIF.
And the Wiki. I double dip.
My God. Ooh, double dip in the things that Americans hate.
Oh, yeah.
Because everyone always talks shit about the forums, and everyone always talks shit about the Wiki, and who's really in the... Oh, it's all these British people and Skarloey Railway.
Yeah, I don't know. People have such a weird misconception about both those sites and the way they're run, and
I'm sure I'm remaining neutral about that stuff because I don't want to burn any bridges with. I don't even know who I would. Hey guys, I'm pro SIF. I'm anti SIF. I don't care.
Nobody
SIF
should be
was a
pro
really
or
cool
anti
website 10 years
anything.
ago.
Yeah, they're just places to go, or don't go.
Yeah, just don't.
Care.
How about you don't? Care. How about you take out a VHS of I don't know. Thomas Breaks the Rules. Maybe some James Learns a Lesson. Just sit down, watch the show, say, hey, that was cool. I remember that childhood thing, and move the hell on.
Exactly. And it was funny. We were just saying that we're not going to discuss fandom drama, and then first thing out the gate.
Well, okay, we barely did, and that's as far as we're gonna. You double dipped, but we're not gonna even single dip any further. We got a little bit of guac on the very, very end of the chip, to the point where you really shouldn't even say that there's guac on the chip.
I'd call that a skinny dip.
It's a skinny dip of
skinny dipping
guac.
with Vinnie right now.
Skinny dipping with Vinnie is definitely not the title of the episode because YouTube will flag that. I made a video where we made a joke about Trump's ties to Russia with my cat, and it was called like Communist Cat or Russian Spy. The original title was Russian Spy Cat for the third Mr. Conductor fan mail, and YouTube took it down because of the title was Russian Spy Cat.
Jesus.
And I was like, oh, I gotta do that again because that didn't work at all. Okay, Communist Cat. I don't even remember what the episode's called, but whatever it is, YouTube says, okay, that's fine, even though we still have the hammer and sickle in the thumbnail with me with Stalin's mustache and my cat also sporting Stalin's mustache.
Sure,
so,
like you do.
Who's to say what's ethical and not anymore? This is a crazy world.
Grease and oil, seizing the means of production.
What should I call you? I'm Vinny and you're Skarloey.
You can call me Seamus. I don't have that on my Twitter or anything, but anyone who knows me or has had one-on-one conversations with me, that's just my first name.
This is Seamus, and the only person that I've ever heard of that actually had the name Seamus was Marty McFly's father in the third Back to the Future movie.
Right.
His name is Seamus McFly. And he's a little bit of a coward, but he does get Marty's gun at the end of the film.
That's right.
Which has a very bizarre moral. I mean, it works in 1990, but in 2018, what year is 2018? Hey, you're a man. Here's a gun. It's like, oh great, now you're gonna get more okay. No double dipping, no single dipping in controversy.
No more skinny dipping.
No more Vinny dipping.
Other famous Seamuses include Seamus Burke and an Irish poet called Seamus Haney, and then there's me, so...
Well, you're obviously the most well-known of them all, because everyone and their grandmother has seen at least one of your videos.
Yeah, I make bad content for YouTube.
But, can I just say honestly... how fucking brilliant it is to take the plot of Last Train for Christmas and use Pip and Emma instead.
Oh, thank you.
You know how genius that is? Because the fact that it's Connor doesn't add anything to the story. And if you change that one element, it's like, wow, this really is like a Christopher Awdry special, isn't it? This is crazy.
It's funny. That's actually one of my favorite episodes I ever did.
I think it's one of your best. I really do.
I remember watching that, the actual Andrew Brenner season 18 or whatever episode, and thinking, wow, this is probably the best episode we're gonna get out of this new wave of stories. And I was like,
and wouldn't you know it, you were completely correct.
It's in the top 5, if not the top 3 for me for sure. I'm not sure it's my favorite because I don't know. I can't think of too many off the top of my head, but I don't know.
I try to watch every episode as it comes out at least once.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really go back and rewatch. Actually, I kind of want to rewatch season 21 just because it all came so quickly.
Oh, God.
And it was such a, again, more, okay, okay, if we address this controversy, no one will be offended, but yeah, season 21 was pretty controversial in terms of just about everything and how it left everyone confused but also overjoyed, which is, they're not super great emotions to have together, especially when it's probably your last legitimate season of not international interaction.
Yeah,
so,
the only reason I can remember season 21 at all, and even that I just barely sort of, I don't rewatch that often because I
don't care about Thomas, because neither do I.
Yeah,
neither do I.
I do for nostalgic purposes, and I do for like the sake of kind of seeing where the franchise is going. And I'm actually I'm a creative writing major. I'm about to graduate, and I'm big into children's literature. And I find it interesting to see where stuff like that goes and how it changes over time. And so, out of curiosity, I watch it, but I'm not so invested at this point. As I was maybe 5 years ago, where I'm like, big world, big adventures is like bending me out of shape. And I get it if it bends you out of shape.
5 years ago, you were invested in season, what was that? Season...
5 years ago would have been right around when season 17, I think.
Oh, okay.
Just because I remember where I was when I saw the first episode of season 17.
I was thinking of season 16, and I was like, why the hell are you invested in...
I was, though.
Bust my buffers.
I was. I've been in the fandom for like 8 years, and no more than
Muddy
that.
Matters, everyone.
I remember talking to Charlie Peters, who is, I can't think of his Twitter handle now, but...
I gotta know I don't know who Charlie Peters is, but I probably know his Twitter handle.
I gotta check it now, but he was one of the old wiki admins with me, and he was like my first friend in the fandom, and I remember him and I discussing at length Thomas's tall friend from season 14, right when it came out. The simpler times were those. Let me see, Charlie...
I haven't thought about Thomas's tall friend since, like, 2012.
Nor should
they really made an episode where Thomas takes a giraffe around for a day. They really did that. Oh my god, they really did that.
Okay, it's...
mind blown.
Everyone should follow him, by the way. It is at Parva Production.
That Charlie!
Yeah, that Charlie. The moderator.
That Charlie's great.
Yeah.
I love Charlie. I've never spoken to Charlie, but I love
Good
Charlie.
guy. That's my shout out for him. But yeah, that's funny. I was invested far more during the dark ages, if you will. We were trying to pick out, like, I remember if, like, we thought maybe Bill and Ben had a cameo in Hero of the Rails, and we were taking it frame by frame, this weird shot of the Steamworks, and oh man.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shots in Hero of the Rails where it's like they weren't quite sure who the character was to use in the background. It's like, is that Donald and Douglas?
It wasn't quite
that's Mavis with a truck. That's not Donald and Douglas.
Oh man. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, that was.
I have said, okay. I guess this is topical because you exist on the wiki.
I do.
I have always had such an interesting relation with the Thomas and Friends wiki, because on the one hand, it is so ridiculously thorough and helpful, and it's very well organized. And I always find it interesting. I don't really go on it very often. When I do, I see the things that you change. It's like, oh, I could see you added a behind the scenes thing. That's clever. You added this. You added that. So,
that was not me, by the way. That was the new.
I'm saying you as an entity, as the wiki.
That was the new regime after I stepped down, to put it dramatically.
Everyone's got a goddamn hierarchy.
Yeah.
Wiki, SIF. The wooden railway people. It's not a community. It's not a goddamn community. There's no wooden railway community. It's not a thing. There's a Thomas community. So there's subsidiaries of that. But
we could even get into an argument as to whether or not that's a community. Ryan Hagan of the Ryan of SIF and I have discussed whether or not it's a community or just a fandom at great length as well. But that's getting into weird ontological stuff and controversy, which we said we wouldn't do again.
Yeah, Ryan, no, just don't.
He's a good guy. But, I will just say he is a good guy. I went through the phase back when the Wiki and SIF were considered rivals, if anyone remembers that.
Oh my God, I don't.
Where we were like, oh, Ryan's the worst, but he's a super nice guy. I've talked to him outside of Thomas stuff, not in person, but unrelated. Good guy. Has a tough job, so don't pin it on him.
No comment. I have no comment. I'm remaining neutral. I have no comment
on
fair. Ryan.
I should stop name dropping people and telling what I think about them, because this is gonna get weird. Oh, Mr.
And that
MPS
guy.
Oh
my God!
What a tool. He's actually the only person in the fandom that I've ever met in person, like face to face.
I always found that very strange. I was like, oh, they're friends.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, we became. This is gonna sound weird, but we became friends, sort of out of geographical convenience.
Right. You found out the guy lived nearby.
Yeah, he lives like 20 minutes from me, and we knew that for a while, and then we started chatting, and then eventually, You
met your online girlfriend for the first time, is what you're saying.
More or less, but we did a crossover review about a year ago, which was a lot of fun, and it was very strange meeting a person from the fandom in real life. I remember feeling nervous, like even though it was MPS.
You know what, actually...
And I mean that in a good way. He's such a nice guy.
Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure MPS was my first meetup. Yeah, he was. MPS was the first guy from the fandom I met, yeah.
Was that on your territory, or were you over here? Because I don't know how comfortable... Because we're in the heart of the Midwest. We're deep... Northwoods kinda.
No, he came over here. He was looking at colleges.
Oh, yeah, sure.
2 years ago. Yeah, it was 2 years ago now, and he came to my house and we shot a video for 2 hours, and then he left. And that was the whole meetup. We had 2 hours to shoot 10 minutes of... the first half of the video I shot much later, but... yeah, I'm not offended that you haven't seen this video, but that's fine.
I'll check it out.
It's classic. It's just the Mr. Conductor fan, Mr. MPS crossover from 2016. It's just classic.
I didn't even realize you guys did a podcast until very recently, and then I was like, wait a second, why hasn't he asked me to be on that yet? But
really, you didn't? Okay.
Somehow there's certain things that I'm not following the right people, or I'm not on Twitter at the right time, and certain people.
We've had a podcast. See,
just totally go under my radar.
The reason we met up, we made a crossover video to promote the premiere of our new podcast, and then we've, give or take, we've made a new video every. We're trying to do it every week, and that's really hard to do. But it's
tell me about it.
I think we've done more weekly content than not weekly content. I think.
There you go.
I think so. I mean, there's like 67, 66 episodes. So that's 60. Actually, that makes no sense. No, that is not true. 66 weeks out of 104 weeks. No.
Do you want me to fact check you on that? Because I can pull up the YouTube channel right now.
Yeah,
I'm digging deep into your YouTube channel literally right now.
Well, we've done a lot of stuff, and actually, I'm I assumed that you had been on an episode that I wasn't on.
No,
because Matt has done a couple episodes where I wasn't on. He brought Keek Ray and he brought Lover and all these people that I've never actually... I've talked to Keek Ray plenty of times, but I've never spoken to Lego Lover and whatever. So he's got all these people where he does episodes separately, and I do episodes with Jacob and Turtles, and he's never spoken to them on the podcast, so it's all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, like I said, I guess just certain stuff just totally... I don't... Not following the right people.
There's stuff that never overlaps, and I find it bizarre. Like, I was talking to... this was a long time ago, but I was talking to Turtles, as I do, and I remember referencing... Okay, actually, this is a real test. You know Michael Evans of Jeopardy?
Sure.
Of Thomas Jeopardy?
Oh my god, yeah.
Okay, classic... that's the thing. I always thought that everyone had just seen that.
Yep.
I just assumed that was like the Thomas
cut.
video that you see after you watch Mad Bomber.
That's exactly what it is, too.
I thought that was for you watch Mad Bomber and you realize, oh my god, you can make cool Thomas fan content. Then you watch Michael Evans Jeopardy, Thomas Fan 8. Very nice guy, brilliant fellow, very stop motion inspired. He recently released Bad Lookout adaptation of the Colby Fell story.
Like 6 years after he did Mountain Engine. And I was like, oh my god, I just thought that was never going to happen.
Yeah, but he did it, and it was brilliant.
Go watch that video, by the way. Link
and
that
I talked
in the description.
to...
Don't watch my shit, watch his. Oh, can I swear on this show? Whoops.
We talked... So we keep interrupting each other.
You talk...
I talked to Turtles, and he had no idea who the hell Michael Evans was, and he never saw Jeopardy, and I still don't think he's ever seen Jeopardy to this day. And I found that absolutely mind-blowing. And there's all these people that have never seen, like, Miss Oliver and Blossom, or...
that I remember, but I've never got into it. I know
as a 6-year-old kid in 2000... Wait, what was it? Probably around 2007, 2008. I was 6, 7 years old. It was the perfect... I know I'm very young. It was the perfect outlet for me because the humor was made by high schoolers, and I was a very young child who found it absolutely hilarious that they were having cartoon antics as Thomas characters. And it's all the stuff where it hits you at the right moment. Mm. It's all this stuff where... I have an autographed picture on my wall right now, next to my autographed picture of Turtles, and it's Miss Oliver and Blossom's signature. Like, I still take pride in the fact that I was a part of the generation that just got to watch this guy mess around and essentially establish this community as content creators. Because I know that the beginning of the Thomas fandom was essentially SIF. Really early on. That was when I was big organization for sure.
That was when I was like 6, because I'm 22. I was born in '96, and then they started 15.
Wasn't it 2002? 2001?
Something like that. It was right around the time season 6 was so the classic series was still being aired.
That is so weird to me because I was actually 1 year old.
Oh God.
1 year old is 1 year singular. 1 year old.
That's freaky to me because that's just freaky because I remember 2002. My first memory is 9/11. How fun is that?
Is that real?
Yeah, that's real.
My first memory is being 2 or 3 years old and taking a bath, and then honestly the first image I have, like if my brain was a Google account and you went back to the furthest search, the earliest search in this account, the first image that I viewed was my father lifting me out of the bathtub after I had taken a giant shit in the bathtub. I'm not kidding, dead ass, that was my first memory is in my head of being lifted under the arms like a cat out of the bathtub and looking down at what I had created and going, I think I'm going to remember this. I think I'm always going to retain this information. And I'm sure someone is going to make a meme of this now with like a baby.
Oh God!
I don't want to see that, but someone's going to do it.
I do. Take this as a directive from SkarloeyRailway01. Make the meme. At me. At both
but
of
there's
us.
So there's always this crazy disconnect that I find between the older people who were there to watch the series go to shit, and then me who grew up in the shit, and his first memory is literal feces.
So can I ask you a question about how you got into Thomas? Because
I've never been interviewed before. I always interview other people.
I'm gonna hijack.
You're turning the tables, man.
Yeah,
the turntable is turning.
Your show.
Oh no.
I'm hijacking your show. So I grew up. I sort of was right in between. When I was little, so like season 5 came out when I was like 2 years old, so I don't remember that. I remember, though, seeing ads for like the Salty's Secret VHS and for the season 7 tapes. And I remember when Thomas and the Magic Railroad was one of the first movies I saw in theaters, and I remember seeing, I know, good stuff, and I remember seeing season 8 on TV, and that's when I lost my genuine target audience interest. I was right at the point when it was so bad, and I was just old enough to be. I remember watching through season 8 on PBS or whatever, and then being like, I don't super care anymore.
See, that's the funny thing, is that after I was plugged online through that horrible bathtub experience, my second memory is watching Spencer the Great on PBS Kids during the original broadcast. So when you got out of Thomas, I got into Thomas.
So was that your first exposure? This is where my question was. I sort of had a long lead up.
That's what this entire podcast is, me rambling and not getting to the point that I want to make. That's the show.
Exactly. Well, okay, so here's my actual question. Did you get into Thomas via the new series and then discover the classic series, or did you grow up with, like your parents bought you Thomas Breaks the Rules or whatever, and then you were introduced to it that way, but then what you saw that was new content was the new series? I did air quotes, but you can't see that.
I always forget who I tell what and what's on air and whatever, and what I've actually said on the podcast and what I've only said to Rob personally or whatever. I always forget which is which. So maybe I've already talked about this in a previous episode a year ago. But my parents, I don't know how the initial spark, because I don't think that me watching season 8 on TV as it was airing in the original PBS half-hour block, I don't think that was my initial, the first time I ever watched Thomas. I don't think that's what it was, but it might have been. And if it was, that's what sparked my interest in Thomas. And my parents bought me they got an eBay lot of 4 or 5 tapes that included Thomas Gets Tricked, Trust Thomas, Thomas Breaks the Rules, Best of Thomas, and Spills and Chills or something.
Sure.
And so it was me growing up with all these tapes, and I want to get more tapes, and I want to get more wooden, and there's this take-along thing, and it's like metal, and it looks like the ones on the show, because the wooden ones don't, and, stuff like that. And I have a lot of childhood memories of watching the music videos that came at the end of the tapes, watching the footage that was in the music videos and going, I've never seen that episode, what's that one?
Same. I remember seeing there's one shot, and of course it's not from an actual episode, it's a deleted scene, with that shot in the Island Song where Rheneas passes those kids,
and
there's
what's
a
that
rock
one from?
on the
I want to watch that.
I remember thinking that's a secret episode that I haven't seen, because I remember there was, I talked about this in my last video, by the way. I just reviewed Rusty to the Rescue.
Plugs at the end.
Oh, sorry. Well, mini mid-plug. I talked about, I never had Rusty to the Rescue and other stories until I was a grown-up, and so those episodes to me, I remember seeing them, because we rented the VHS tape once or twice, but then we couldn't find it again at that same rental store. Someone bought it or took, I don't know. But so those episodes to me were always I remember there's an episode called Sleeping Beauty, but I don't know what it's about. I think it involved Duke, and and I remember there was an episode where Peter, Sam, and Sir Handel crashed into each other head on while Duke was watching, and I saw those in the music videos, and I was so those episodes YouTube was what really brought those back into my consciousness, if you will, because all of a sudden I looked him up and there's RSGCMA, and and I could watch them all again. But that was a little tangent anyway.
So this is, again, the entire show is just me going on larger tangents. That's yours. I always look at me editing the audio for these episodes, and it's like 78% my audio track going up and down, and then every once in a while the other person gets a little bit in. So feel free to talk, but I just like to point out that you and me and Turtles all have the exact same relationship towards the episodes on the Rusty to the Rescue tape.
They were
the exact same story. Exactly. It was at the library or some rental place, and you watched it once and got hooked on the episodes because you saw the footage in a music video, and then that tape disappeared, and you spent 3 to 4 years looking for it until you discovered YouTube.
Exactly.
But we all have the same story and the same relationship with the same VHS tape.
I
find that so baffling to me.
That's cool. I thought you were going to say for a second that Yumi and Turtles all have the same birthday, because this year people thought Turtles and I had the same birthday, but he's a day after me. I'm February 27th, he's February 28th. But for some reason people were like, oh, someone big posted a belated birthday message to me, like at Enterprising Engines or something. And so tons of people who don't follow me saw that. And were like, you have the same birthday as Turtles. I'm like, no, I don't. It was yesterday, fake fans. But bunch of assholes. Just kidding. But but you obviously don't have the same birthday as me.
I don't have the same birth. You and I and Turtles don't have the same birthday. No. I got you on this podcast to tell you we all have the same father.
Oh no.
He's been traveling around just knocking up women left and right, and his name is Christopher Awdry.
Man, there's a story I could tell you about Christopher Awdry, but I won't. That's for a private conversation. It's deep from the it's an article I stumbled upon that technically anyone could find, but there's a link to it somewhere that I can't remember if it was on the old wiki forums or if it was on a moderator thing on SIF, but it was a tabloid piece about Christopher Awdry. That was
okay. So let's wrap up this thing really quickly and then get to this little conversation and then get to that, because I'm extremely interested, and we need to have as much conversation. We need to have as much material to work with on this episode as possible. So I got into Thomas through tapes. I watched the new series and the old series at the same time.
Okay.
I remember because I was born in 2001. I was born about 5 or 6 months. What was it? Not even, like 3 or 4 months before 9/11. So I was there. I just don't remember anything.
Yeah, I was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Fun times.
It's weird how everyone has whatever. Okay, keep going. I remember because I have the same nostalgia for like Misty Island Rescue as you might have for Magic Railroad or something like that.
Oh man, I have nostalgia for Misty Island Rescue too, but in a different way, because that's right when I was joining the fandom, and I remember thinking about seeing that movie in theaters, and now in hindsight, I'm real glad I didn't. But
I would have absolutely adored to see that film in theaters. I don't care what age. I would love to see that tomorrow in theaters.
I'll go call my local AMC and see if we can arrange something.
So, long story short, I grew up with everything at the same time. And so I obviously I started with classic, and then you go the new series. And then I was there when I do remember seeing the original trailer for Hero of the Rails and going, oh, that's a cool experiment they're doing with the CGI. I can't wait to see what Hero and Victor look like as models. Because like what SpongeBob did, they did a half-hour Christmas special that was in stop motion, but it's not like the rest of the series was, oh, now we're stop motion,
Yeah.
So I just thought, oh, this is a neat experiment they're doing for one special. They're doing it as a cartoon, but we're going to go back to the models. And then season 13 came out, and I was, oh, they got rid of everything that was cool. Oh, no.
Yeah, I remember because I was not actively like watching Thomas through season 12 or any of that, or even season 13. So I sort of came back to Thomas and saw it was CG. So I don't even remember the switch. I just was like, oh, this is how it is now. Sad times.
That's the thing I find interesting is because I'm so young, I was kind of a right place, right time situation where I'm so young where I have nostalgia for watching Thomas fan videos as a very young child. And because of that, the bridge from genuine, very young Thomas fan to older fan, quote-unquote older fan, only not in literal age, but, not the target audience, I never left. I have never been not interested in Thomas. Yeah. It was just a transition from, hey, I'm going to watch VHSs and I'm going to watch it on TV to, hey, what's this Leokin video guy? What's he doing?
So as a kid, I got to ask you, because I'm fascinated about, like, your age now.
I'm 16. So I am 16.
That's fine. You're almost the same age as my brother. But of which I have 3, by the way. Fun fact.
Oh no, that Chris Awdry, he didn't stop.
I know. He was on a roll. So did you?
He made some really useful engines.
Oh God. Oh God. I'm just gonna pretend you didn't say that.
Tell your story.
So okay, did you? It was again. I'm hijacking the interview. Did you know when you were growing up that the VHSs were better than the stuff you saw on TV, or did you not care? Was it all just trains to you, or did you prefer?
I specifically remember not necessarily thinking that it was bad, but noting the difference and not really liking the difference because it wasn't like hey, I'm watching Magic Railroad in theaters and I'm a huge Thomas fan, and then what did they do to my franchise? It was there's one part that my dad says is really cool because my dad likes George Carlin and Alec Baldwin and Ringo Starr, so he thinks it's cool, which means it's cool. And then you've got this other one that's on PBS Kids, and it's got really awful, tacky, computer-animated segments in the middle, and it's got a much less catchy theme song and different music and different lighting and different style and different
Michael
narrator.
Brandon. Oh my
exactly.
God. That's the one thing.
I have nostalgia for Michael Brandon, and it's just a whole. I have nostalgia as a little kid, pleading with my mom, can we please buy the Hero of the Rails DVD? Like, that's me. That's who I was 8 years old when that movie came out,
Yeah, I see. For me, it's the opposite. It's that is the anti-nostalgia, because that was like, I guess it's for some people what the Star Wars prequels did to them. It was like, here's my childhood.
So many parallels.
Here's this new thing that comes along that's the same. It looks the same. It kind of sounds the same, but it's got the same name. And but for me, I'm like in your shoes with the Star Wars prequels. I know they're bad. As a critic of film and as a scholar of film, also something I'm getting a degree in, I know they're not good. But I still have fun watching all 3 of them because I remember the feeling when I was little when it didn't matter. When it was just Star Wars. Didn't matter. It was all lightsabers. That's funny.
I haven't seen the prequels since I was like 6 or 7. Yeah, and it's down to the fact that my parents never bought the DVDs, so I just have seen the original trilogy a million times because that's what I know, and it's like, yeah, they made the other 3, but like, how about we just don't ever watch those? Just, you don't need to. And it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right, you don't need to watch those. You're right.
That's funny.
Because I wasn't really big into, the first time I became legitimately interested and fascinated by Star Wars was when I heard that they were going to be making a new one, and this is probably around 2013, 2014-ish, and I was like, oh, they're making another one. I've seen those movies a couple times. They're pretty solid, And then I became so fascinated because I probably seen the original trilogy probably 4 or 5 times over at that point. Of course, I've seen it way more now. But I was like, oh yeah, I should probably rewatch that. And I had the 2004 special edition DVDs, which had a whole bonus disc. It was 4 DVDs, and the 4th one was a whole bonus disc, and it had an ad for Revenge of the Sith on it. Yeah. And I became, for the longest time, and still kind of to an extent today, but not really the same, I became far more interested in the behind-the-scenes drama and the filmmaking of Star Wars rather than, oh, so Padme is the mother of blah, 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 and then here's whatever, and I didn't care about who was what or whatever, but I was fascinated by, so, Yoda was originally going to be a monkey in a rubber mask, but then Frank Oz said, that's fucking dumb, George, let's do it as a Muppet. And
they needed more people on the prequels to say, that's fucking dumb, George.
Yeah, you watch all these behind-the-scenes videos of him with the highlighter going, the story was real, fake, real, and all the people are like pulling it, tugging at their collars, going, what? That's not good. Don't do that. Is he really doing that? It's the classic clip that everyone's seen a million times and Red Letter Media made famous and whatever. But I guess this episode is just talking about how you got into certain fandoms and everyone's
segue. So segue back to Thomas fandom. That's how I feel right now about my interest in Thomas. Is it's not so much. I don't super care about the content anymore. I am more interested in learning about how they did the thing, like how they made the classic series, and how they made reading about how the Reverend Awdry wrote those books, and reading about the real stuff that inspired it, and then trying to replicate it myself because I'm doing modeling now. 009 scale and trying.
Yes, I've seen it and I've seen what you've got. It's pretty dope, man. It's pretty dope.
Yes, it's all right. You're never satisfied with your own creation. I think there's a lot of stuff that looks like shit, but I don't photograph those bits. I photograph the parts that look good and I share them over and over. Like, hey, look.
Yeah, that's I only publicize if you make a set for a video and this looks good, and there's plenty of stuff. I wouldn't say it looks bad, but also it's the fact that actually I don't post a lot of set pictures because I used to do it a whole lot where, hey, I made Knapford Station, hey, I made Timoth Sheds, hey, I made this countryside. I don't do that as much as I used to because it's just I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I got a quota to fill for my own production, and the other half is that if I posted a picture of this set, everyone would know what I'm doing, and let's not do that because I don't like, refusing to tell people what I'm doing, but at the same time, it's like, if they don't need to know what my review that will come out in July of 2019 is going to be, they don't need to know that in December of 2017. They don't need to know that yet. I'm not being facetious. I have a spreadsheet, man. Sidekick Jason has taught me too much about marketing and working ahead, dude.
So I guess because I'm not doing this to make money, not to insinuate that you're doing it to make money, but I don't.
I'm not. I don't make bank.
I legally can't monetize my channel, so I literally just do shit when I feel like it, or when I did a full year between formal engine inspector reviews because I was like, I don't care. And then I started thinking about Rusty to the Rescue, and I was like, maybe I'll do this thing. And then I did a whole bunch of Season 21 vlogs, because I was like, I wonder what it would be like if I just did a short one every day. Well, if
Miss Oliver and Blossom did it, then you can do it.
Yeah, but I used to do a video a week back in the days of the Wooden Railway series, if anyone remembers that. That was 4 years ago now.
Classic. Because that's the thing with weekly content, is that if you upload, if you made a bunch of videos 5 years ago, and then you've been making less and less, and you upload very infrequently, YouTube will systematically not show that video to your subscribers.
Oh yeah,
because
awful.
You do not release consistently. If you release a video every day, every week, every 5 hours, those will show up in their subscription boxes, and you will get a bigger audience because YouTube says, you don't want to see this video. You don't want to see a video from a user that you subscribed to in 2011. You don't care about that. Go watch PewDiePie.
please care about me.
Exactly, that's the whole thing. So
I'm desperately trying to stay relevant. Just kidding. I don't care that much.
If you want a video to really blow up, or not even blow up, but just to have an audience, you need to get a schedule, and you need to create a not constant stream, but you need to be present in order for people to see that and then get hyped, or just even know that you exist. Not even be excited for what you do, just know that you do things, just for people to know that you exist.
Mm-hmm. And I will never I've resigned to the fact that I will never make money off my channel, because I have a legit, well, not at the moment, I have an internship, but for the last couple of years I had a legit job that I had to go to. I was a full-time student at university. I'm graduating, so I'll have a legit job. I've had a girlfriend for 4 years, and I have a family that I care about. So I will produce when I can. But I'm not, unfortunately, I would love to be one of those people that that'd be sweet if I could make a living off of it, but oh well. Be a channel awesome or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's something I've always wanted to do, but the thing with Channel Awesome is that they became, for those of you, we're talking about Nostalgia Critic, they became known for their YouTube stuff, and then when they try to do something bigger, it fails, and they try to do something different, it fails, and no one watches it, no one cares, so they're stuck doing Nostalgia Critics for the past 10 years, and they will do Nostalgia Critics until they can Nostalgia Critic no more. They will not advance, they will not progress, they will not get any better or worse. They will make the same decent content forever.
And I am that person that will consume it until they stop, because that's another thing that's nostalgic for me, is that was one of the first internet videos. Critic. Hello, I'm the Nostalgia Critic. I remember it, so you don't have to. And then thinking like, oh, you can be funny and review stuff, and you can make fun of things that you love, and that's why I started doing the Engine Inspector thing. And people said I was ripping him off, and I totally was for the first 8 or whatever.
If you're not a real movie franchise or a TV show, you can rip off whatever the hell you want, because it's all inspirational. And eventually you will get to the point where you branch off and do your own thing. The first Austin Powers movie was a direct parody of James Bond. The second one was a little less. And the third film was a parody of the first film. So it got to the point where they weren't even making James Bond movies anymore. You will eventually evolve past your initial inspiration. That's what I always think.
Which I think I have at this point, because I take more of an analytical approach to...
Because you don't make videos anymore. But
but like the last handful or whatever I did that are sort of in the rebooted version are not overtly jokey. I'm not doing a bad credit card type thing or freaking out over wonky whistle. Or if I just am like, here's something I think that we should discuss. If anything, it's more like, if Hello Greedo, if anyone watches that show.
Oh, I totally see you as a Hello Greedo type. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's more in the range of that. I literally just thought of that comparison, but that's sort of more the vibe I'm going for now. Is like, here's a thing that I think is interesting. Let's talk about it, or not. Who cares?
Yeah, Hello Greedo.
I'm angry.
Weekly. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's daily. He's daily content. He's probably making some money.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, so YouTube is a real grind, and the thing that I've found is I will never be satisfied with weekly content if I don't get to make it how I want it. And so like, the fact that I was able to make a new, again, bar like 2 or 3 weeks because of technical issues, family stuff, whatever, I was able to make a new video from early June to late November of last year, and I'm really proud of that. But the only way that was possible was to spend a year and a half prepping and planning and understanding how much time it would physically take to remake. You think, oh, make someone happy? That's just a standard episode where James goes here.
Great video, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I'm not begging for compliments here, but
I'm not taking the bait either. I don't tell people their content's good unless it's good. I like that one quite a lot.
Well, thank you. But the issue there was that you'd think it's just James goes here, Oliver and Percy go there, whatever, standard episode. That is by far the hardest remake I've ever had to do, because dialogue scenes involve a lot of eye movement and engines just simmering. So you have to have steam, and you have to have stuff going on in the background, and you have to have, oh, we're at the ocean, we're at the docks. Well, now every shot has to be the real ocean in the background, etc., etc. So every dialogue sequence has to have 48 different elements, because you got the real fog machine, then you've got the digital steam, then you've got the digital rotoscoping of the sky, hand frame by frame painting. It's almost like goddamn matte painting or something.
Oh god, I never did any of that.
And it's keyframing and digital it's keyframing and just a whole bunch of just elements that you wouldn't expect would be so you think an episode like Rusty and the Boulder or something would be crazy with visual effects and difficult shots and whatever. I was so overwhelmed by Make Someone Happy that I'm really glad I shot majority of it a year and a half before it ever was seen on YouTube.
Wow. That's unbelievable, because I used to produce almost every single one of my Wooden Railway series videos was shot in a day, and then it was edited probably the next day. But mine, obviously, there's a difference in production value between yours and mine.
Well, okay, Yours was, again, I would certainly add you to the list of 48 people that I was inspired by that went, this guy has wooden trains and a camera. Why can't I wooden train and a camera? I would love to wooden train and camera now. Let's wooden train and camera, everyone. Like, it was a whole thing where it's like, well, he's got a fog machine. That's cool. Everyone's got their little thing that goes, that's cool. They do that. That's neat.
I didn't actually have a fog machine. I had practical steam, but it was actual steam from a humidifier that I stuck a hose onto. And I would turn the humidifier off and on. I'm sitting next to it right now. And that's the only reason I thought of that, is because I'm sitting... It looks like a minion. It has a big circle in the middle with one little hole where the steam comes out.
Well, that's authentic then, isn't it? Because it's real steam.
It was real steam.
They are steam... You made a series of videos using real steam engines. They are engines that had steam. You did it.
That's right.
There's nowhere else to go. There's no better series to watch. Everyone watch his 5-year-old series or however old it is. It's absolutely brilliant.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you appreciate my genius.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was genius until just now. But there's a whole hierarchy of who does what and who inspires what, and I did that. I really see it as, if you watch a YouTube video, if you watch a Thomas video where someone does a cool thing, there's no reason that you can't do. If you watch my video and say, hey, Vinny uses a lot of green screen, he does a lot of stuff in post-production, there's no reason that you can't do that, because someone made... I'm really sorry, whoever you are, I don't remember who you were, but someone made a remake, or at least part of the episode of Edward's Exploit, and they used a lot of green screen and some tracking bits, and it was pretty all right. And it was, someone commented, "You're ripping him off, blah blah." I don't have a patent on the greens, on the keyer filter on Final Cut Pro.
And you know who we're all ripping off? We're all ripping off David Mitton, and we're all ripping off
our father Christopher Awdry.
We're all just effectively mimicking the style to varying degrees of Dave Mitton.
That's all that's my philosophy with the remakes, is that I watch an episode and go, well, what if they did that? Well, what if we, because David Mitton had a camera and some props. He had some electrics and some really nice lights, and he just said, hey, let's film some trains in front of a sky backdrop and then make money. And he did it, and it was great. And then I go, well, what if you added this? What if you... It's me watching the footage of the classic series with real practical steam, real practical moving eyes, and going, how can I take the wooden toys and visually get it to that level by any means necessary? Practical effects, digital effects, do what you got to do to make it as easy as possible, but at the same time have the same look, so that you're not going, oh, I really wasn't proud of that shot. That shot looks terrible, but whatever. I really try and look at every shot and go, I like what we did there. That was done effectively, and it'll make people think. My favorite thing is when people don't know how I did the shot. That's my favorite thing, because you can look at a shot of Thomas sitting in a station and, oh, they took the eye animation from some episode and just put it on. Yeah, sure. I'm not trying to conceal any way that I did that, obviously. But I made a video in 2014, and it was a review, and I'm not going to get into the plot because it was crazy. It was a real wacky time on my channel, I'll say that. But there was a scene in which me and my friend were avoiding a villain, and we ran into the bathroom to try and come up with a plan to stop him. And I had the bathroom we shot in had a mirror, and I thought it'd be really cool. And I look at the footage and go, what if we shot this in a way that it would be physically impossible to not get the reflection of the camera in the shot, and then we digitally removed the reflection so that people go, hey, how'd they get that? And I did it, and people were like, hey, how'd they get that? And I was really proud of that, because no one could quite figure out, how did he shoot that scene with the camera but then not get in the shot? Because I know so many people, it's just like, oh, I don't care, I just upload the video. I hate so much when you watch a Thomas video and you can see this, they're pulling the string up in the air, or you can see the edge of the sky backdrop, or the part in the sky where you can, like, if they use two different sky pictures and you can see the line in the middle. And it's just like, oh, well, I didn't care. It's fine. I just wanted to get the video out. Like, I get that, but at the same time, that looks fucking garbage, right? You know that's the only thing people are going to be looking at is, hey, I can see your hand in the bottom of the frame. It's fine. I don't care. I hate that. I hate that, which is why I always try to get, I've been working on this huge project now that I promise people we'll have a trailer out by summer. I swear to God. We're working on this huge project. And I spent an entire day yesterday doing nothing but rotoscoping out the string from the engine. So just digitally, frame by frame, removing the string so that it wasn't like a, hey, how'd he do that? It was just the string is kind of obvious in that shot. It's going to take a while, but I don't want that shot to be, he pulled an engine on a string. I want that to be Thomas puffed down the track, That shouldn't be, the focus of the shot shouldn't be, I can see your refrigerator because you didn't cover up the sky enough. The shot should be Thomas is puffing or Percy is doing whatever. That should be the focus, rather than, I can see your cat walking around in the background. Hey, you're watching cartoons on the TV. I can see you.
Vinny, don't ever watch old episodes of my series, or even more recent ones, because you can always see the strings. And that's one thing that I was always like, I was like, whatever. It was fishing line, I guess, but
I use fishing line too, but it's all down to personal preference. And and again, you're here now, so I'm just gonna say, you do you, and if you think it works for your tastes, by all means. But I am such a perfectionist, and I've done so many things to my shots just to tweak them and to make them look the way that I want them to look. To the point where it's just, if I watch anyone else's content that doesn't have my perfectionist mindset, it's like, well, that's fucking trash. It's like, no, it's not trash. It's just you're crazy and everyone else isn't. Simple as that.
Yeah, and I've done stuff like that too. I did a capstone project for my senior year of college this last fall, where I made a short film, not Thomas related. It was
good.
Totally,
it shouldn't be Thomas related.
It was, that for me, that was the thing where I went hardcore perfectionist, and I ended up editing it into black and white because I couldn't stand some of the color issues, and I totally get it. I totally get it. We all have those things.
It's just, I'm a perfectionist, and if I know, I always try. And, like, I'll be sitting in school, and I'll just think, how are we going to get that shot done? Because there's no way to feasibly do that without, oh, what if we did insert film technique here? What if we did, like there's so many elements. Like I said, Make Someone Happy is not the kind of episode that you would think would be so complicated. But I honestly think if you added up the accumulative hours, that I spent editing that, if you added up the minutes that I sat at a computer tweaking and editing and drawing and rotoscoping and green screening and whatever, I honestly think I probably spent 5 to 6 days total on Make Someone Happy, meaning whatever that is, 140 hours or whatever, I don't know. Like, that's just on one video that was released 1 week. So I can't make to tie it all back, I can't make weekly content on I shot it today, I did this, I did it, I finished it, I put the video on YouTube. That's what the podcast is for. That's a video that I can make in a day and then get it up a couple days later. That totally works. But for remakes, I need, like, okay, so the first little bit of remakes that I did, the first, what was it? It was either 7 or 8. I think it's 7 remake. The first 7 remakes I did, I sat down and went, okay, I'm working on this film project that was, the film has been canceled now, but the original, not the new one, but the video, I was working on a huge film project in the fall of 2015. And I was like, well, I should probably get some stuff on the channel anyway. So I was like, what are some remakes what are some episodes that all take place on the same sets, and I can just do the same thing? So I went through one episode for every season of the classic season, went, okay, well, there's no Knapford here, and you only need to build Tidmouth Sheds once, and you build this big Tidmouth Shed set and film one scene for every video on it, and then you take down the set and you move on. And so you got it's a whole schedule, it's a protocol it's a huge list of all these different things. And okay, I got to do, there's a Brenham shot, there's the key from Make Someone Happy, or not Make, from Special Attraction, and you got to do all these different things. And I could use that here, I could change that, I can make it work, I can fix it. And that was in February of 2016, and then the remakes were shot over the course of the next year, and then they started airing in June of 2017. And then right after that, I decided, oh crap, well, since I have all these remakes done, now I gotta, if I'm doing this weekly, I gotta keep going. I gotta produce more remakes real quickly. And I didn't really think that far ahead. I'm like, yeah, I could do it. And then I select a new batch of 1 episode per season until season, actually, I only did it till season 4 this time, but there's a lot of new episodes we're working on. And it's the whole thing where, all right, so I'm also working on a film, but I got to do this on the side. And this film will be made. Unlike the other one, this film will actually be completed because it is at least 2/3. No,
that's what they all say, Vinny.
Yeah, I swear to God, I made some kind of crazy promise on Twitter saying if this movie isn't made, I'll do blank. I don't remember. I'll delete my account or something crazy. So it's all, I've thrown all the chips are in. I've dedicated everything to this, and it will be done. But you have the whole thing where someone that doesn't put as much thought into it, and that's not a bad thing. It's not like a dumb thing. I'm not saying they don't put any thought into it. It's someone who doesn't obsess over these things in the same way that I do. I planned the next batch of whatever it is, 6 or 7 remakes, in August of 2017, and they will not air until June of 2019.
Well, I will look forward to them when
you have children of your own.
Yeah, possibly.
So it's just that whole I think I was talking to Dan, TARDIS Rescue, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I was talking to him on Skype a couple days ago. And he was talking about, other than this one video I'm working on, I don't know what I'm doing next. I would love to have that feeling. I don't remember the last time I went, I don't know what my next video will be, because all of these things are planned so strategically in advance so that this comes out on June 5th, this comes out on June 10th, this comes out blah, blah, blah. It's all so systematic and robotic because Jason makes bank, and my goal is not money, but it's the way that Jason markets his videos is absolute. Sidekick Jason. He is an absolute genius. You can say his videos are shit. You can say whatever. You can say they're lazy. but the way he markets them and the way that they're produced is absolutely genius, and I love it. It's so good.
That man gets clicks. There's no denying that. Him and Diesel D199, they get the clicks and they get the views.
He wrote a series of stories for his second season of his own Thomas fan series in like 2012 or 2011 or something. I'm botching the dates, I know, but he wrote it as like a 6th grader or a 7th grader. That's wrong. That's definitely wrong. No, he was in high school. He was a high schooler, and he wrote it in like 2011 or something. And he just started releasing them, like, kind of thing. Like, that's how far in production, that's how far and how long these videos take to produce. Because it's not just, oh, I'm going to redo Better Late Than Never, and I'm going to have a carpet with some trains on it, and I'm going to push it on with my hands, and I'm going to do it, and blah, blah, blah. It's a whole process that is so intricate, and I do plan to make a behind-the-scenes video about my process in the future. I have shot some footage for that behind-the-scenes look, but it's just such a process, and rambling about it and going on tangents about it just makes me realize, why did I do this to myself?
Because you're insane. We all are.
I'm insane.
We're all mad.
So, next episode, everyone. Stay tuned for the unfolding drama in the Awdry family. Okay. So I guess we won't be talking about this episode. We'll talk about it next episode. Okay, Seamus, what would you like to plug as this episode wraps up? What videos would you like to what would you like to promote? Would you like to reach out to our incredible audience of like 400 people?
Well, to all 400
what
of you.
What do you want to plug?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on to do the thing. This was fun.
We will have you back, considering the fact that you're friends with Matt, and Matt never brought you on. I find that very bizarre.
Yeah.
But we'll have you back.
Matt's a piece of shit. Just kidding.
He is. He's a huge piece of shit because he hasn't been in an episode in a month.
No, but, so, yeah, I'd love to be back on. Just let me know. I just released an engine inspector review last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. It is Rusty to the rescue. I pick it apart and I analyze why it's controversial and if it deserves the controversy, and I think that it's very thoughtful. And not to toot my own horn, but I thought a lot about it. So,
if you thought a lot about it, it is full of thought and therefore is thoughtful.
Yeah, so give that a watch. Follow me on Twitter at I don't know my Twitter handle.
What is your at, anyways? Don't at me, bro.
At because I had to change it at one point. It's at SkarloeyRailway01. So
the links to all of this are in the description box below. Check it out.
Yeah.
See what you tweet at him. Tell him what you think. He's just a great guy in general. I've always thought he was this Seamus guy. He was always just like a. Well, I'm sure he's done no wrong. He's just such a not necessarily a pure guy, but he's just a real nice fella, and I'm glad that we could get someone that wasn't a total asshole on the podcast. Talking to you, Jacob. But thank you all for listening, and I'm really sorry if I've talked about everything that I talked about in this episode in episode 21 of this whatever, or Turtles, just I know that you don't listen to this podcast, especially don't listen to this episode, because you have heard everything that I've said in this episode before, and you always complain about how I talk anyways, so it's fine. I'm not self-conscious.
We didn't even get to we were going to talk Beatles. We didn't get there. We didn't get that far.
Next episode Seamus and I talk Beatles. Man, it's this whole episode, it's a long and winding road, and you just gotta let it be at the end of the day.